Hey, welcome to the best of everything. I am Ruben Paul, and across from me is Johnny Sanchez. It's Johnny.
Oh, thank you. Not your boy, not your brother.
You're
from
my
another,
boy. I think
not
they
your
know.
sister from another mister.
Why would you be my sister from another mister?
I don't know.
That makes no.
Just another rhyming.
Is there something you need to tell the audience?
No.
Is there something you need to tell us, Johnny? Or are you going to come out?
How about
on this?
This
episode?
is my buzzing from another cousin.
Buzzing
You always
from
sound buzzed or something.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm trying to be like Nipsey Russell.
Is this how we're going to start this off?
Nipsey Russell.
Anyway, man.
What's up, man?
How are you, man?
Yeah, what's up?
Are you good?
I'm good.
Good, man. Okay, Johnny's pointing at his shirt that says "Give blood, not excuses."
You hear that?
From somebody who's never given blood.
That's right. But still, people see
what'd
this
you
shirt.
do? Did you steal the shirt?
No, I got this. I needed it for a 80s throwback thing that I was doing. And
You bought the shirt.
I bought the shirt at a thrift store.
Oh, okay.
So it's from like the 80s.
But you know you should give blood
I know. I feel like mine is probably tainted
from all the drug use.
from probably just the drinking.
Oh,
I didn't put anything in my bloodstream.
from the drinking.
Yeah.
Why would your blood be tainted?
I don't know. Maybe just working the kidneys and the liver and.
But not the cocaine or the acid or
What?
idiot. All right, I forget how sensitive. We got to wait till the 100th episode for
We
you
gotta
to
wait
come
to the
clean.
100th episode about
All right.
all that.
All right. It's just funny that you're an adult and it still bothers you.
And yeah, and don't bring up. I watched that one episode, and you're like, you're worried, which was funny when you went. You're worried your dad's gonna walk in with a belt, and then I was with you on that, and then you have to go do that thing that you do.
What did I do?
Yeah. By the way, I got some. Ooh, you're lucky I'm not reading some of my.
What?
I'm going to.
What did I do?
When you do my dad sounding like Speedy Gonzalez.
No, you know what, dude? We let all that
honey,
go.
what's going on in here? Arriba, 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 arriba.
Can we let I apologize for that. But yet you still do the stereotypical black voice every opportunity you get.
I've been really, you got to admit, I've been really good about it. Everybody knows I've been getting a lot of compliments.
That you've
Well, no, that they miss it. That they miss it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's weird. My friends don't.
Oh, what do your friends say?
Hey, man, what's up with that racist motherfucker?
Yeah. Yeah. Did they?
That motherfucker racist?
Uh-huh.
No, they don't say
No,
that.
let's hear it, man.
No, they don't.
I mean,
say
shoot,
that.
they want to box. We boxing. What are we gonna do?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, by the way,
all
can I
right.
just say that? Before I
Okay.
say this real quick.
What?
What's with this new thing that I know mainly see it with comics? They post something like their opinion, and I'm right. Don't like it? Fight me.
Who does that?
They're all doing. This is so and so and so and something. Fight me.
Yeah, but if
I'm
you
right.
but if
And
you
I'm
showed
going,
up, they'd be like, "I don't want any trouble."
No, I was kidding.
Yeah.
Like it's from the guys that can't fight.
You know what's weird about
Why would you?
You know what's weird about the
Different cut.
entertainment business? I mean, you have talked about this a lot. Is like,
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
it's just weird because, like directors, we hear directors like screaming at people at the top of their lungs.
Right.
Or comics who are at a certain stature, like say they might be on a TV show or whatever. They're like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'll beat your ass, dude.
Yeah.
Don't think because you famous you can't catch this ass whooping.
Right.
So it's funny because people people tend to think that their stature outweighs, like for some reason now they can fight now.
Yeah. All of a sudden they're
Just because you have $1 million in the bank don't mean that you can't get slapped.
right.
You know what I mean? Or because you're successful that you can't have hands put on you.
Well, they know it's a power thing, so
Yeah.
they start screaming and yelling at people. And
Yeah.
but yeah,
when we heard about these directors like screaming on people on sets,
throwing shit at people,
man, listen,
dude.
And I guess they feel secure in that because they feel like they can do whatever they want, and if you retaliate, then you'll get fired.
You're gonna get fired, and
or you
maybe
get
blacklisted.
Yeah,
For me, brown listed. I could be
Yeah.
brown listed. You could get blacklisted.
Yeah.
I'll get brown listed.
Brown listed.
He'll get red listed.
like you'd be a skid mark on the.
Russ would be white.
You said brown.
Skid mark. That was always a funny word to me, man.
Skid mark.
You got skid marks, dude? Got them.
Somebody asked you that?
No, you know, in school and locker the gyms, you'd be like, dude, I think you got skid marks, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always interesting.
My mom used to call them nicotine stains.
But to post something.
Not even listening to me, everybody.
I'm
I'll just talk to
listening
you guys. My
yeah.
mom used to call it nicotine stains.
Why did she call it nicotine stains?
Because back they used to have that commercial. Remember the guy would take a drag of the cigarette?
Yeah.
And he'd get that white cloth and go, this is your lungs. This is what's going in your lungs.
I think
it was
I
a
remember
nicotine
that.
stain.
I think I remember that.
So my mom would be like, you need to start wiping better. You
know what I might
nicotine
start doing,
stains.
Johnny, dealing with you? I think I might smoke a little weed before we do the podcast. That would probably help my nerves dealing with you.
Why would you? If anybody has an anxiety, it should be me. I never know what you're gonna, throw at me. I mean, I walk in.
Even now you're talking, you're on edge. Like,
yeah, because the rest of you don't understand. Ruben sits back and he's like, for the whole week, he's just like, I'll talk about this. I'm going to talk about that. Can't wait to talk about this. But I'm not telling Johnny.
When?
And then I get
all of a sudden,
all week. All week I'm texting him. What's the topic? What are the topics? What are the topics?
What's this gay character you just did doing my voice?
Well,
not that there's anything wrong with being gay.
Correct. But that's just, you could see Ruben.
And that was
Ruben's totally.
Let me apologize because that voice was a little stereotypical. Let me do a little bit of this.
No, I wasn't even going for that. I was going for you.
I took it as
once you get to your place, when Ruben gets to his place and he gets around his two pugs, all of a sudden he changes. He's not tough, cool Ruben. He's just like,
what do my pugs have to do with this?
Let me see. As he's petting his pugs. Let me see. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about that. He's not even going to know. I'm going to throw that on him. So I show up.
Wait, just so we're
anxiety
clear.
ridden. Am I gonna know what we're talking about? I mean, I don't even know.
Now you're Paul Rodriguez all of a sudden. Was that Paul?
I mean, can I do anybody's voice without being like compared to somebody else?
But you did sound like Paul.
That wasn't even close. Paul's like this, cabron.
And what'd you just do?
I don't even know what we're gonna say. I don't even know what we're gonna do. Nobody told me nothing about that. All right.
Wow. I'm not even Mexican and I'm offended by that voice. That is so offensive.
All right.
All right. Can we?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna come up with a Viking voice, and this way you can't say it's offensive because they're not here anymore.
What does Viking sound like?
I said I'm going to come up with one.
But your response is.
Although shout out to the Vikings and those damn pipes and bongs they were hitting back. You see those pipes they used to hit?
Yeah,
that went after they hit it.
All right, can we?
Let's move on.
Can we move on? But back to the whole point of comics saying "fight me." That's just it's ridiculous. But you could post that because you would really mean it if you posted that.
Yeah, but I would even be careful saying that. Like because there could be another comic that came up that could whoop me and be like, "Hey man, I don't like what you said, Sanchez."
You don't have to worry about me. You're my boy, so you don't have to worry about me. I wouldn't put my hands on you, Johnny. You're my boy, man.
No, I ain't talking about you. I'm just saying. I can't whoop everybody. I ain't got time to whoop every comic.
Wouldn't it be funny if you got your ass whooped by an open micer? That would be hilarious. You'd probably leave LA. You would probably leave.
Ooh, that'd be awful, wouldn't it?
Like, yo, you heard what happened to Johnny? Like, what?
No.
Dude, this dude who's been doing comedy 3 months beat his ass. What happened? Because Johnny had a couple of drinks. Is like, man, you don't know shit. Hey, but I know this ass whooping.
Oh my!
And then you'd be like, Rube, I did bring it on myself, man. But I gotta move.
Yeah, I might just start doing comedy in Canada, or Speaking of,
there's this stigma.
Comics.
There's this stigma, or this notion amongst a lot of comics, especially with the age of internet comedians or whatever, calling themselves stand-up comedians. I think in the end, everything gets exposed and you see what's really real and what's not. But people tend to think older comics don't like younger comics. And I've talked about before how the skill sets are different. And I I don't care how young someone is. I truly believe if they're dedicated to the craft, they're going to get better and better the older that they get, no matter how good they are early on. Because people might say, as comics, we progress pretty quickly when we first started out.
Yeah, you know what man. I mean? We were headlining early.
Yeah, and but I love comedy. Period. Yeah, I love comedy, especially comedy that's from the heart. That's approached with integrity. When I say approached with integrity, people who aren't just stealing or just trying to take the shortcut to fame, but really respect the craft and really try to do the work. And we don't have all the answers, and I'm not some, buddy who claims to know it all.
I am.
Of course.
I'm not.
We're not people who claim to know it all, but when you've been doing this, when you've been doing it for a long time and you're still relevant and you're still working, there is some value to having experience. Like sometimes people think that they can only listen to somebody who reaches a huge success. Of course, Kevin Hart can tell a comic something that me and you can't tell them because we haven't reached his level in terms of fame and
arenas,
what he's experienced and what he's done and the trappings of fame on that level. And I never want to come off or pretend like I can like I'm on the same level as other people. But again, all things being equal, fame and comedy, especially nowadays as opposed to 20 years ago, a lot of times when people became famous, they became famous because they were great stand-up comedians.
Yeah, their stand-up preceded
their fame.
That's right.
And now we're in a time, and this is not in reference to Kevin, because I think Kevin is great.
Absolutely.
Even though people try to give him a lot of flack, I think Kevin is a really, really, really good stand-up. But there are a lot of comedians who are working today that are famous because of movies and TV shows and booking things as an actor, and not necessarily because they're a good comedian.
Yeah, they just happened to get the audition and they landed the...
And then, once you get exposure, you're going to get more opportunities. So somebody on a sitcom, somebody that's in a hit movie, or somebody that has a lot of exposure is going to get opportunities to do specials and to do other things, but not necessarily because they're good at what they do. Yeah. But there is a value in being in the trenches, how I've seen myself. And I'm not sitting here like I haven't had success, because I have had success and I'll continue to have more success. But there is value and experience that we can pass on to other comics, because I find myself now, like when you find yourself being a vet comic, like vet comics, like, damn, when did I become the vet comic? When did I become the OG? Or when did I become, the vet, the seasoned guy.
Veteran,
but it's...
And for the Latinos, veterano.
Oh, geez.
That's what they say. Hey, you're a veterano, huh?
Who says that to you?
Some of the... No, seriously.
I love when Johnny's about to lie. He goes,
no. I've had, like younger comics that are more on that scene.
And they come up to you and they go, veterano.
No, that's Johnny, bro. He's
a
veterano.
He's a
veterano, bro.
That's what they say?
Yes, that's been said to me.
Okay, all right.
What do you think? I'm just making this crap up as I go along?
Sometimes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I do believe that.
Let's make this a 15-minute
I do believe
cast.
That. But there's all these like people think like there's not one way to do anything. You know what I mean? Especially in comedy, like there's different styles, different techniques,
so many different styles.
People have processes, but there's certain things, there's certain etiquette that I think is universal. And like I'll hear comics complain about, man, I'm not working because such and such can't follow me, or no one can follow me, so I can't get any feature work because no one can follow me. But what they don't realize is sometimes you're not getting the feature work because of the habits, the things that you do. You're stepping on material, or you're doing things that the headliner doesn't want you to do, and it's the headliner's show.
They're there to see him.
They're there to see him.
Her.
Him or her.
Yeah.
And I've just heard conversations. I have my opinion. I know a lot of comics have their opinions on it, and younger comics who haven't really headlined consistently have their valid opinions. based on their level of experience.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, me and you can both attest to, we think one way, and then when we get more experience, we go, oh shit. I'll tell you one in particular that stands out to me, and why I never get offended when an audience member goes, no, you were funnier than the headline. I thought you were funnier.
Right.
And I remember, man, when I was featuring and I was killing, and people used to tell me that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, your ego starts to puff up a little bit, and you actually do start to think you're better than the headliner. And then as time goes on, you realize, oh shit, the feature spot is the easiest spot in comedy.
Yes.
It's the easiest spot in comedy by far.
There's nothing even close.
It's not even close. The MC even has a harder job because he has to go up, he has to warm up the crowd.
And they don't have respect for the host.
They don't have respect for the host.
Crowds are like, oh, it's the first guy that sucks.
Yes, and then their drink orders and all these other things that are happening.
And they're being seated sometimes.
So when the feature goes up,
go ahead.
The feature goes on, which is the second comedian. We're talking about when you're headlining clubs and it's a 3-man show. There's the opener, there's the feature, and then there's the headliner.
Some call the feature the middle.
Yes,
it can be called the middle act.
And as a middle act, man, I was a good middle act.
Sure.
And being dedicated to the process of writing and development material led me to headline, and we'll talk about features doing crowd work in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, when you're up there for 20 or 25 minutes, when everybody is all settled, you should be killing and destroying if you're good at that spot. Because the opener has taken the MC.
He's taken a bullet.
He's taken the bullet. He settled the room.
He gets him warmed up.
And now it's your turn.
They have a drink.
Yes. It's your turn with what? 0 expectations.
Correct.
The audience doesn't even know you're on the show.
That's right.
They have no idea, so you're a bonus. You know what you are? You're extra fries in the bag.
That's right.
When you ordered and you up and like, oh shit. Got some extra fries.
Got these feature fries.
Got them feature fries.
Got them feature fries.
Got them motherfucking
Oh man, we got a new
fries.
term for feature comics who brag.
Good features would be feature fries.
Yeah, feature fries.
Because if they're bad features, then it's like, you got the wrong sandwich.
Oh, okay.
And then you got to go back.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. But it's nearly almost impossible to be a bad feature.
There are some bad features. But, and we know headliners who take out.
But you're right. So
features who bomb.
So if you're if you're featuring and you're bragging about blowing out you need to check. And
it shows your inexperience and you don't really know. And what the audience doesn't realize is, like, there's part of me like, of course. I mean, not saying of course, because as a headliner, you should be able to carry your weight to almost make it, to show that there's a definite difference between the headliner and the feature. But in those instances, sometimes an audience member might just like somebody's style better than yours, especially if you talk about social issues. Like, sometimes I'll have like white guys opening up for me who don't talk about race at all. And if it's a predominantly white audience, and I'm talking about race, like, you know what? I just, you didn't get all racial, so I liked your stuff. And that's to each his own.
And remember I don't know if you started doing, but I'm not going to lose track of
feature fries. No.
Well, feature fries. But no. That in particular, because sometimes for me, what I would started doing was I'd go, I'm out here in the middle of Iowa or, Columbus, Ohio, whatever. And there's the 2 white comics before me and they're just talking about whatever. And then I come out there talking about being Mexican. And remember I told you I would reshift my set.
Yes.
And now I'm opening with not being, they don't even know
because you got to we do the same thing.
And I would just coming out with my observational comedy, everyday life, family, whatever it was.
To get them comfortable.
Yep. And then in the middle, I can drop my ethnicity and everything I'm doing because at that point, they're on board.
Yeah.
But man, we talked about those crowds. Like, you know what it was? Wasn't it funny? I know you and I had this conversation. We get into town. It's like predominantly all white audiences. The 2 comics in front of you are white.
Yeah.
And they're usually local, so they're doing local jokes. You went to something high school, didn't you? And the crowd goes crazy.
Yeah.
You're from something town.
Yeah.
So all those stock jokes that the locals do. So they're killing, And I remember it would be, we'd typically come in on a Thursday, right? Wednesday or Thursday. And then we'd be there till Sunday.
Yeah.
And we'd talk on the phone like,
Yeah.
hey, you'd be like, how'd it go? Like, oh, man, dude, I have to work tonight, man.
Yeah.
And then the next night, and then we would progressively get better because we started figuring out
The room.
what the issue was
Yeah.
sometimes with ethnicity and things like that in certain parts of the country. And then I remember we'd always go, man, dude, by Friday night or Friday second show, we were murdering the place because we figured out that we just have to make some adjustments.
Yeah.
But the features were, they were still killing and whatever. But I remember doing, God, I wish I could remember the club. And Chris Porter was featuring, and Chris is hilarious.
Yeah.
He's a funny, strong guy.
Yeah.
But he was already like headlining in those areas out in the Midwest, man. And he came in the feature for me, and I still went on and was able to follow Chris.
Yeah.
But I stepped up my game,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
But I remember this guy came up to me, and he was with his wife or girlfriend. And he goes, "Hey, dude, man, great set, man." He goes, I was telling her. As soon as the second guy come up, I was like, "Oh, this will be the best part of the show." He goes, "Why is it every time I go to a comedy show, the second guy's the best one?" I'm like, "Well, it's just you have no experience." I was trying to explain to him.
Yeah.
He goes, "But I got to tell you, dude." I was like, "Oh, this headline, no way the headliner's following, especially somebody like Chris, this strong."
Yeah.
And I did. He goes, "Damn, you did, dude." Like
Yeah.
that's, and I go, "Yeah, man. Well, I've
You
been
want
in the."
that. I mean, you're good enough to do it, and you want that challenge. Like when I've had the ability to bring my own feature, I brought.
We've always brought strong dudes,
headliners.
man. Good. Yeah.
I've always brought headliners
Yeah.
with me. Not one reason is because most of my friends are headliners, and if I have the choice to work a week, I'd want to work with somebody that I know, that I could have fun with and hang out with or whatever. And I don't mind following. I mean, we've worked together before on the road.
Yeah.
Tony Baker, Tony Rock, you know what I mean? We've all done shows where we featured, and we were good enough and confident enough to know that we can follow whoever.
Yeah.
And I just came up with that mentality of working with a great comic is going to help me raise my level and help me get better. But to be in the feature spot and have this ego because, hey, it might have been your night or somebody in particular might have just liked what you did or whatever the situation is. But I just remember having this feeling because, I was, some guys you do blow off the stage, especially when you're that young and hot and you got that set, you got that 25-minute set down pack, and the headliner might not be that strong. But as you develop and as you become a headliner, you learn to respect the headliners from the past. You almost look back like, damn, man, I didn't realize how big of a deal this extra 15 to 20 minutes is in doing a set. And it almost made me feel like shit. If you can't kill in 25 or 20, whatever, you should.
Yeah, nowadays it's more typically 20. It might be 25 on a weeknight, but typically they want those shows shorter on the weekends. So it's 20 minutes, man. That's all you're doing. I mean, back in the day it was 30 at certain clubs. You were featuring for 30, so you already had to have a 45-minute set when you were featuring, like right out of the chute. But it's funny because I remember being in the El Paso, Texas. And there was a guy featuring for me, and white dude, and he was really good at impressions. And I just knew that there's just going to be, some of the people, and you
That's
hear
gonna
them.
be their thing.
It's so funny when you're around. This was when I was smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
So I'd be outside around the corner, and then I'd hear people walk up to him.
Yeah.
Oh my, hey man, I mean you were way better than that guy.
Yeah.
Just I loved your impression. You know what I mean? And you just go, hey, I'm just not their cup of tea.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing.
But I'm even talking even beyond that, and I agree with you 100% because sometimes, like we said, it's all preference and it's all taste. But I'm just saying the responsibility of sometimes putting your ego in check.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to put your ego in check. I know for me, once I got to that headliner spot, you just go, oh, wow, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, I get why, it's harder to headline and how it could be tough on somebody who's not on their A game. And that's what happens when you work with somebody who's really, really strong, because it forces you, especially like if I know I'm working with you, I know before we even touch down, I'm like, okay, I'm working with Johnny out all week. I got to be at my best because I'm going to have to follow you and do 45 minutes after you've done 20, 25 minutes.
And vice versa.
So, so when you don't know the comic, sometimes as a comic, you can come in there like, oh, I'm going to do whatever. And then if they murder or have a really good set, maybe you're not totally on your game and you got to make those adjustments. But I will say this, when I was headlining and featuring kind of like at the same time, just depending on what market or what club, I got rid of that puffing my chest out because somebody said, oh, you're the funniest. And I would tell audience members, I go, oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. But there's a big difference between 25 and 45.
Or 55 to an hour if they make you stretch sometimes.
Yes. And then I'll tell them, I go, my job is easy. You guys are already warmed up. You have no expectations. You guys are actually expecting something from the headliner.
The expectancies high.
And they had to go on after 2 other people.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
I just so everybody knows, for people who don't know the process for a headliner, because I'm sure there could be some people right now going, well, if you're you've been doing it longer and you're running, it's a minimum 45-minute set.
Yeah. But I usually do about 50, 55.
That's but still.
Minimum, 45 minimum.
Somewhere around the 35-minute mark, they're going to drop what we call drop checks.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
You forgot about that, dude. So what happens?
I was going to get to that. But
you were? I didn't know that.
No,
okay.
but go ahead.
I was writing it down because I wanted to make sure that people know the process.
Yeah.
What you don't understand about when they give everybody their bill, basically. We call it, drop checks, check drop.
Yeah.
The room just... The energy gets sucked out of the room because the people have been having a great time all night. They're not even thinking twice about the bill or anything.
Or the act. They're just focused on the bill.
No, I'm talking about beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
Beforehand,
okay.
They're having fun. They're out. They're so happy they came out. Hey, feature just killed. Host was good enough. We love this guy's doing great too.
Yeah.
And then they get their bill. And then some people have to share the bill. So they're trying to decide. And we as headliners will always go, so you deliver something that is strong. It's a great bit. And it just gets some laughs. And you go, what's happened? And we look. Yeah. We put our hand over our eyes.
Everybody's looking at the bill.
And everybody's looking at the, we go, oh, and then we address it and go, oh, drop, check. Oh, okay, check, drop. Oh, you guys are pissed off. And literally the energy in the room, which I always wanted, I used to tell staff sometimes, you know what, I wish you guys would drop checks on the feature. Yeah. 10 minutes into the feature, drop the checks. Just have people order extra ahead of time. Yeah. And let's see how the feature does at the 10-minute mark. They'd have nothing left in those 10 minutes.
And just to give you guys insight on how disruptive the check drop can be, is there's some major comics who tell the club, you can't drop the checks until after I'm done. And these are because they have that type of stature where they can dictate to the club.
Yeah, they're already.
So some big name comics will tell the club, hey man, no check drops during my set. But what we've had to learn to adjust, getting back to the wealth of experience that we've had that we can pass out. And I'm not going to go into detail because it's, me and you have talked about this. I've learned how to handle the check drop. So that doesn't bother me. Everybody has some people address the check drop. Mm-hmm. I don't.
Right.
I adjust my pacing and I structure my set in a certain way. Sure. That if somebody wants to know, you can pay me for this information.
Yeah, you know what? There was something else I started doing, but I won't talk about it on here because I remember telling one comic, and he's like, "Can I use that?" Yeah, and I was like, well, yeah, but
there's certain things that you learn.
I don't know, dude. Because it wasn't a bit; it was just something I do. It's it was a tactic that I learned.
So there's certain things that you learn to deal with that. But getting to the point of being an opener and just like, oh, he can't follow me. Now, some people believe that any comic who's on the stage should be able to do whatever they want to do. So if I want to talk about this, I want to talk about this. The other comedian shouldn't dictate what I talk about, what my subject matter is, et cetera, et cetera. And my argument has always been, if you're the feature or the opener, then you're the feature or the opener. Mm-hmm. And people are there to see the headliner. He's the one with the expectations. He's the one with the pressure.
And the draw.
He's the one with the draw. And even there's some people who try to have this argument like, if you're not a draw, you're not a real headliner. That's a whole nother conversation. But if you're not a draw, even if you're the last guy, you're the one with all the expectations, whether it be from the club or the audience.
Yeah.
Period. Whether you sell the show out or you don't sell the show out, there is an expectation that the headliner has that is put on them from the audience and from the club. So for a headliner, for it to be his show and for you to be on the show with the headliner, I think it's well within their rights to be able to say, hey man, I talk about this. Could you not talk about this?
That is
or
correct.
hey man, like we know public knowledge, Sinbad works clean.
Yeah.
So he wants his features to work clean.
Yeah.
And then, oh man, he can't follow. That's his choice.
It's also the flow of the show that a lot of people
It's
don't
his
understand.
choice.
Yeah, and it's his choice.
That's what it is at the end of the day. And then sometimes there's some comedians, and I fall into this category, especially with my style, especially if I'm doing a lot of, I'm headlining, I'm doing a lot of time, is I don't particularly like when features do a lot of crowd work.
Right.
One, because my style is so conversational that the MC tends to talk to the audience because he's asking about birthdays and different things like that.
Right.
And
That's
hey,
no problem with that.
no problem
Yep.
with the. But
Nope.
when the MC goes up and does a bunch of crowd work, and then the feature goes up and does a bunch of crowd work, it sets the tone for the audience to think that it's okay to talk to the headliner.
To talk to
Case in point, George Lopez. He's a good friend. One thing about working with him, he will tell you, don't talk to the fucking audience, man.
Yeah.
Just go up there and do your shit. I don't want those motherfuckers talking to me. I don't want you to stir the hornet's nest and get people thinking that this is an interactive show. Go up there and do your shit, man. I'll never forget this. Because I came up, like me and you talked about on other podcasts, and I consider myself to be pretty damn good at crowd work.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good.
But I didn't do crowd work until at least 10 years in doing comedy.
You and I literally started
because I
reaching out.
didn't even think that was an option.
No, because the headliners would tell you,
Hey,
yo,
man.
here's it. Well, first of all, for the generation of comics now, understand, I don't mean to cut you off, but,
Yeah, go ahead.
but the headliners would walk into the green room, or we would walk into the green room, they're
With the
sitting
list of
there.
rules.
And then they'd say, hey man, listen, don't do any crowd work. I'm going to do the crowd work.
Yeah.
Stay away from this. I talk about, or after the first night, you'd see them the next night. They'd go, hey man, this, that, and those. I talk about, you stepped on on what I'm doing.
Man.
So and dude, it wasn't even a question of, hey man, it's like what you get nowadays.
Yeah.
Where you tell that to a newer comic, and then they'll just be like, oh, it's my shit, dude. Yeah, but I was doing that topic before you, or who knows?
Yeah.
But it was just this. You got it, dude. Because when we're doing 25 or 30 back then, we already had 45 to an hour.
Absolutely.
So what's happening now is there are comics getting in these positions too soon.
Yes.
And they only have 20 or 25. So you tell them, hey, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Or they have to do crowd work. And it does create this, this is an open forum.
Yeah.
The first guy did it. This is just in my opinion.
Of course, this is just our opinions, by the way.
Just my opinion. The feature, and this is the reason why you and I started headlining so quickly, was because think about how long the process would have been if we'd been doing crowd work when we were featuring.
It wouldn't.
Because what happened was we'd come back the second time, or sometimes second time at a place, and I was headlining because they'd see them. There was material the next time again, and I would kill, and they'd go, you know what, John, we're just going to bring you to headline. So you're hurting yourself by the process of getting to the headlining spot by just relying on crowd work when you're featuring, because man, get that material, man. Like, get that shit.
You want to get
a voice. Who are you?
Yeah, it just, and there's
Get me all riled up.
I know. There's comics who we know that are great at crowd work, but they're headliners. You know, and that's what they choose to do. But even on a special, when we think about all the great specials, how many great specials where somebody's doing crowd work?
Just doing crowd work. Who and where's a legendary special that they went, hey man, my favorite though, So over Pryor and Eddie Murphy's?
Yeah.
Yeah, but dude, because he talked to everybody the entire time.
Yeah,
It just
yeah, and
it just
for me, it's a great tool to have, especially when I'm live, and then it does help.
and crowds like it, by the way.
Crowds love it, and for me, I like to. It just depends because we talked before. I like to be in the moment.
Sure.
So there's things that happen in the midst of a live show that I can react on, improv on. You know what I mean? And expand.
And then remember,
and it gives the show a different flavor because sometimes if you catch something at a live, when you're the headliner and you're doing an hour and you catch something and you might cut out things of your act because you filled the time like, oh shit, damn, I didn't even get to do my stuff.
This and that.
And what that does, what it has done for me, to be perfectly honest and to be transparent, is that's why a lot of times people will come back and see me multiple times because there's things that will happen during the course of the show where my act is never the same twice.
Correct.
So to the point of me and you have talked about this, somebody go, oh man, I brought my girlfriends back so they could hear the one joke and you didn't do it this time. And you kind of go, and sometimes that's by choice where I just choose not to do the same set twice. And then sometimes is because I didn't get to the material. But again, that's from the headliner position. But as a feature, like you said, it was just almost demanded of us, and things have changed. But back then, it's like,
things change.
Focus on the material, man. Get your material strong because the material is going to get you to where you want to go. The material is going to get you
your specials,
the TV appearances, and all these other things.
Yep.
And also at that time, which they don't really do as much before, is if you were a killer feature back in the day, that would help you move up to headliner. And the reason why, just like you said, I was able to move up to headliner was because there was a particular comic, great comic. He was late showing up. Yep. So I had to stretch, and I didn't stretch going, hey, where you from? What do you do for a living? No, I stretched with more material, and I got off stage, and the club manager was like, wow, dude, you did 45, man.
Right.
And I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah. It's like, man, that was great. And it planted the seed like, oh, this guy can do 45 minutes if we need him to do 45 minutes. And then another situation came with the same club. This happened at the Sacramento Punchline, the first club to ever.
Oh, man, that was our second home, dude.
Yeah, that was the first club to ever headline me. And it was because I had honed the material. But that's because the headliners I was working with said, hey man, just don't talk to the crowd. But I had never really thought I was just focused on the material. I just wanted to have the best material
But that's what
possible.
everybody told us. The older comics before us would just be like, hey man, even in LA, we're working the store, the Laugh Factory or the Improv or wherever, the Ice House. They would always go, keep doing what you're doing, man. Just don't worry about that bullshit talking to people.
Yeah.
Just do boom, boom, boom. And
I did the Microsoft Theater with George Lopez years ago. I mean, he was already a huge star at the time. And,
hey, Ruben.
Oh, geez.
Orale. Hey, guess what?
You're not doing George Lopez. You're doing George Flupez. You sound nothing like George Lopez. Anyway, I was doing this show with him, and it was...
I'm doing a theater named after your penis, Microsoft. Orale. Orale. Ciao.
Oh,
now that was a good one. Orale. That's a George Flupez.
Oh.
At the Microsoft Theater in his pants. Orale, what? What happened? Ciao. It's time for ciao.
Oh,
all right.
Jeez.
Yeah, that is bad. It doesn't sound like
yeah. So I'm doing this
I like
show.
George Flupez.
Yeah, you are. That's your new name, George Flupez. So
just don't tell him about all this.
Oh, I'm telling him about it. He's going to listen to the episodes of you doing that.
No.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. So
no, I'm writing down where we are because we're cutting this
edit
out.
It out. Yeah. No.
39.
You can apologize at the end of the podcast.
39 minutes. Chris, we'll be cutting that out.
I just remember it being, it was one of those audiences where they were chatty and they were yelling stuff out. And he knows, especially when I work with him, I'm not going to talk to the audience.
Yeah.
So I was getting ready to walk out of his dressing room. He's like, hey. I go, what's up? He's like, hey, man, just jump on those motherfuckers.
Because he
already knew. He already knew what he would have to have dealt with. if I'd have went up there, even basic stuff like, hey, how's everybody? He didn't want any of that. It's like, hey, motherfucker, just go out there, jump on them, start hitting them from material for the top.
Oh, I see what you mean. Jump on them.
Just jump
In other
on
words,
them,
with the
man.
material. I thought you meant. I thought he was giving you one free ticket on this one.
No. He just jumped.
Because they'll come around. They'll quiet down.
And that's my job as the feature to set it up for the headliner,
hone them in.
And I think if more comics looked at it as
a show
of them, like, you have your spot to shine at the feature spot, but you should be setting the table for the headliner.
Correct.
And especially if you're working with big name headliners, that's one, like, if I'm being perfectly honest, there are some comics that I work with where I will take my foot off the gas and not try to blow them out but I do everything in my allotted time. And a lot of comics run the light, and that's why you're not invited back. It's not that they couldn't follow you. It's because you're supposed to do 25 and you do 28. Or you're supposed to do 25 and you do 27. Are you supposed to do 25 and you do 26? There's some people that are sticklers on time, and they have the right to. It has nothing to do with whether you're funny or not.
You know, that's probably my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, and it has to do with professionalism, you know? And even, I learned a lot of lessons from George, but I'm going back to one. And I remember it was one particular comic he told to do 25 and they did 24. And he goes, hey, motherfucker, is 24 25? And then you just go, no, but I thought I was doing you a favor. But no, do what, in Vegas, they'll do that to you. In different places, they go, do your time.
Yeah.
So a lot of, and again, I'm not eliminating myself from this, but you learn this as you're coming up. The reason why you're not working, the reason why people aren't working with you 90% of the time has nothing to do with how funny you are or how not funny you are. It has to do with your etiquette, has to do with showing up on time, has to do with the type of material you do, has to do with the fact that you don't respect the light and you do run the light. And let me just say this, as a feature, especially the easiest spot in comedy, when you're destroying and you get the light and you haven't done your closer yet, I know you want to do your closer. We all want to do our closer.
Sure.
I don't even have a closer anymore, to be honest with you.
I jump around
but
with mine.
Even at that time as a young comic, you do want to blow the riff. And you're thinking in your head, it's like, man, if they're laughing at this, wait until I do that closer. And then they get the light and they know their closer would have them go over the light. They'll go, fuck it. And they'll do it anyway.
Yeah.
And then they'll blow the roof off the place. But the headliner's not mad that you blew the roof off the place. Is that you didn't blow the roof off the place in your allotted time. So it's disrespectful.
That's right.
So now they don't want to work with you anymore.
That's right.
So sometimes, you know what I'll do? I'll get off stage. And I've had headliners tell me who I've worked with. They go, damn, dude, you cut the joke off early. You didn't finish it. Why didn't you do the last bit? It's like, dude, time was up. The time moved too fast. And then some of them who I'm close friends with, they're like, oh, man, you could have did it, man. I don't care. But I don't take that for granted, man.
No,
I'm just being respectful because guess what? It's not about me.
Okay. Now you said what I was.
Yes.
Yeah. It's when these comics, it's all about what am I doing and what about my set? This is the mentality. Yeah. And if you go in with that mentality, you're going to have issues with other comics because you're only thinking about yourself. It's really about the show. Yeah. And we both talked about working with somebody and we were just kind of like, yeah, dude, I pulled off on the gas a little bit, man. I didn't. And there's been times where you and I have worked together on the road, and we're doing some flip flopping, or we're working with somebody, I'll be like, man, I don't need to get into all this dude here and clowning or whatever. Not that you couldn't, neither one of us could follow each other, but we also know, hey, I know if I do it like this, and then I do this one bit, it sets Ruben up for for him to shine, or vice versa.
When I work with Russell Peters, I
was referring to him when we worked together.
Yeah. I don't do crowd work.
Because why?
One, because I'm a feature. In that scenario,
on those tours with him.
Yeah, in that scenario, I'm the opener. And two, that's what he does.
Correct.
There's nothing more annoying when the headliner, who has to do the heavy lifting, who has to do the bulk of time, who should have the right to do whatever he wants to do, says something like, hey, where are you from? I told the last guy. The last guy asked me that question. So, oh, great. So now because the last guy did a question and answer for 10 of his 20 to 25 minutes he had to be on stage. Now I'm not allowed to talk to you. Like, that's unfair to the headliner. But for me, you know, to be honest, again, I've had comics where I go, hey man, don't do crowd work. And then they go out and do it. And I didn't even plan on doing crowd work, but sometimes I go out just to show them, like, this is how bullshit your crowd work is. I'm going to go and talk to the same fucking people that you talk to, and they're going to be screaming twice as loud as they did at your chuckles with your canned crowd work.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, because it's preset. But yeah.
And then sometimes I'll just be so annoyed, I'll just come out and just blow the doors off with not even talking to the crowd at all. Straight material the whole time. But the point is...
Well, there's two more reasons why I wanted to tell you about that.
So the point I'm trying to make to features who are looking for work is it's just about respecting the headliner. And that's it in a nutshell. So if they have a request, just take your ego out of it. Sometimes it's really not about you. It's about what's best for them. And I know you want to shine.
Yeah.
I know, but you sometimes have to shine within the parameters, within the rules that are set forth for you.
And the club's not going to think any less of you. If anything, they might be more impressed that you're sticking to your time.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing too is when the one thing about crowd work, like we said, the host, no problem. You got to talk to everybody. You got to get birthdays out of the way and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What happens if you're working with a feature who you've asked, hey, maybe you can pull it back a little bit, whatever, and they don't. They force us, the headline. Anyway, this is what they force me into, having to watch their set because I don't want to go up and go, so what's going on with you two over here? And they go, oh, we already told the guy. So I'm over there watching this motherfucker every night because he's got to break off at some point and start talking to everybody.
Yeah.
That's the other. And the other thing is, when you set that tone, like you said, if there's one person that goes up, we know the host, that's fine. But then you get the second guy talking to everybody or asking questions.
Yeah.
Now the audience, and there's just nights, I don't know if you ever get like this, Ruben, but I do sometimes. There's just certain nights I go, man, I just really want to do my material.
Yeah, I don't want to talk
and
to
I want to
anybody.
I don't feel like talking to anybody.
Yeah.
I don't feel like getting into it. And I'm doing it because somewhere in the middle, I want to throw out some new shit.
Yeah.
So I know if I hone in
Yeah.
and I get them on the Johnny ship and they're on board,
Yes.
I can then try out anything I want in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm going to close strong. I don't have to worry about it. But that's the other thing. Just so other features, if there's anybody now listening, it's like, oh, come on, you might change. You're forcing that headliner to sometimes have to go with a different flow in his own way. Or
you're messing up the experience for the guy who has to work the hardest, and that's just unfair. You don't know what his strategy is, what he might want to accomplish, what he might want to do. So I don't know, man. And then there's a certain laziness to it. Like another thing that I learned, you know, through coming up, and I've been told this, is like, quit asking so many fucking questions, man. Just tell them.
Don't
ask.
Don't ask them what they want to hear.
There's certain comics that it's question and answer, man.
The Q&A.
I just worked with a guy recently, man. Yeah. He didn't have segues. His segues was asking the audience questions.
And then they start yelling out.
Yeah. So instead of just not being lazy and taking an extra 5 minutes to figure out how can I go from shopping to relationships and think of a legitimate segue, you finish one topic, then you go, any couples in here tonight? Yeah. Where the couples at? And then they go into their couples material. And then they go into that material. It's like, dude.
Rescue dog, anybody? Anybody ever get a rescue dog?
Yeah,
and then they have rescue dog material.
Yeah, it's like, that's so lazy to me. And I told a particular comic that I worked with one time before, I go, dude, I'll help you. Before the show, let's just take 5. It literally takes 5 fucking minutes, man, where you can bridge subjects and topics together. You don't have to go into a question and answer to get everybody on board before you start your topic. Like you can't talk about you being married. Hey, any married people in here? Where all my married people at? Man, why can't you just go, hey man, I'm married, and then you go into whatever, like, why can't you just say what it is and just go into it?
Tell them. Keep them on your train, your boat, whatever it is that they're on board with, which is, that's another thing too, man. Yeah. That the trick of, they think they have a great set because they're going, hey, give it up for, Give it up for married people.
Yeah.
Give it up for people who give it up for Latinos.
Yeah.
And then later on they'll go, "Did you hear all those applause breaks I got?" Well, you were asking them to clap if they're here.
Cheering, yeah.
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 Are there white people here with blue eyes? Clap, man.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, dude, you're in freaking Iowa.
Yeah.
So, but I want to say this, dude, before I forget, because I think we might be moving on to something a little different. But it's interesting, though, to now know some of these headliners that we know that were the features before, complaining about, and we know some of them. And now they're on the road headlining.
Oh, my God.
And they're coming back to L.A. going, dude, I just got back from blah, blah, blah. And this motherfucking feature was doing crowd work the whole time. This motherfucker trying to blow me out. I go, oh, I'm sorry. Weren't you the guy that used to come back here and tell everybody you blow the headliners out all the time?
There was this comic.
Comes back, man.
There was a comic who used to be a good friend. I remember him. I distinctly told him, I was like, look, dude. And let me just make this abundantly clear. Any suggestion that I might have for the feature doesn't mean that I can't follow it. It means I don't want to follow it. I don't want to do it. Like you said, I don't want to deviate to what I might have planned or have to deal with something. But it has nothing with my ability to be entertaining after you or to be, or to kill after you. It has nothing to do with that. It's like, yeah, I killed, but because you did the shit that you did, now I have to adjust and do this. So it's not fair. Mm-hmm. So in saying that, it's just funny when I had this particular conversation with this comic, and we went through it instinctively, but extensively. But the problem was he was just afraid. He was afraid to let go of those crutches, and he thought he had to talk to the audience to lead to his next bit. Yeah. But like you said, when he started headlining regularly, when he was the headliner, when he stopped featuring, and he noticed the features doing the exact same thing, he was so oblivious to his behavior before. He calls me and asks for advice, and I'm listening. I'm going, I go, can I say something to you? He goes, what? I go, that's exactly what you used to do to me. Like, exactly what you used to do to me.
Unbelievable. And didn't remember.
And now you want to talk to the man. Like, I didn't even throw you to under the bus. I didn't go to the management or anything.
I tried to talk to you.
I talked to you directly. Now you want to go to the management to have them talk to the feature and tell them they shouldn't talk about this or they shouldn't do it like this. I told you I do this, but you decided to do whatever, or now you're trying a new bit that I've never heard you do before that's very similar to a bit that I'm doing. Like, now all these things.
That's right.
That I might go, hey man, could you not do that? Again, if you want to do that material, I will still do the material after you and show you that it still works. But you do take away a bit of the punch from it when you are disrespectful in your process of not respecting what the person that goes after you has to deal with and what he has to do.
Yeah, to a lot of comics, the show's over when they're done.
Yes.
And I always say that too when they don't get the same thing about the topic. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, but just talk about something else. And they'll be like, but you've got yours. And I go, I know, but it takes a ding. It takes a little ding out of the surprise and the element. That's the thing about the joke, because it's the element of surprise a lot of the times. Yeah. You don't see it coming. Mm-hmm. And then this person's talking about something similar, and all you're asking. But I'm just glad, dude, that looking back on the I didn't feature for very long. I was fortunate enough to move up pretty quickly, but still, man, always stuck to my time. Got off when I was supposed to get off. Had my light. I had my time set up. By the way, don't tell people and clubs, just give me a 1 minute light when you know good and well you don't know how to wrap up in a minute or 2 minutes.
Can I say another thing?
Of course.
And this is a trick that. It's not even a trick. It's what they don't know to a vet. It infuriates you. Is you get the light. Yeah. You know you're supposed to get off. You know your time is up and go, all right, I'm going to do this last joke, then I'm going to get out of here. Because you say that doesn't buy you an extra 3 minutes, dude. Right. Your time is up.
Yep.
Yeah, you're letting the headliner, and all you're doing is telling, you might as well say, hey, I know my time is up, but I'm going to do an extra 3 minutes over my time so I can do this last joke. Right. That's really what you're saying. Oh, I know I got the light. I know I got to get out of here, but I'm gonna leave you with this. I love it. Yeah, motherfucker, leave me with that at 18 minutes, not at 20 when you're supposed to get off at 20.
I mean,
Or leave me with that at 22 when you're supposed to get off at 25. Don't leave me with this when your time is up. That doesn't buy you more time. It's still disrespectful, but in their mind, they've convinced themselves, and then they wonder why they're not working
again. And the one trick we hate the worst. Oh man, they gave me the light. I guess I gotta go. And then the audience is like, no. Well, it's not the audience's fault.
Yeah,
they don't know any different. You're in the moment. They're just in the moment.
Just get off.
And I was like, anyway, guys, sorry. They gave me the light. I'm supposed to go. No,
go ahead.
One more. Real quick.
One more.
Okay, real quick, guys. And then we're in the back fuming because the guy's up for another 4 or 5 minutes. And here's another one. I get along light. Because I have long, chunky bits.
I asked for a 5 minute light.
I do minimum 4 to 5 minute light.
I do a 5 minute light. Period.
There are comics out there who come off after running the light.
Yeah.
Like, damn, dude. And they always go, what? I get a 5 minute light. So for you comics to do this, understand that if you have a long bit at the end that takes up that's your 5 minutes.
And you should know how long your bits take.
Yes.
You should know that.
But here's the thing that I see a lot with guys that claim they have the early light, they need it early. I see the light come on, they're 5 minute, they're talking, crowd work, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, with about a minute left,
they go into the bed.
go into stop doing that, and you know who you are.
Yeah, your time is up.
Your time is up. Quit telling people I get a 5 minute light when you won't even start that 5 minute bit until 4 minutes later. And that's another little trick, by the way.
And you know what experience gives you, Johnny, is to know that there's going to be another show tomorrow or another show next week, so you don't have to do all of your material. You don't have to do your closer. You don't have
cut it.
You can cut. There's been times, dude, where the audience is rocking, and I do want to do the last couple of lines.
I know,
but I have too much respect for who I'm working with that I cut myself short. That I'll just get off. So I just really all the comics out there. Go ahead, make your point.
No, real quick on that too. For those guys, girls, whoever who are like, real quick. Because I got the light, and the audience doesn't know the difference whether you have that bit or not.
Yeah, they don't know.
They don't know. So just like when we cut ours in half, they don't even know that they didn't get the full thing because we cut it short. We'll do whatever.
Yeah.
But to those comics who feel like they have to finish it, save it for another show. That audience will see you some other time, and they'll go, "Oh my God, you didn't even do that last time." Like you don't have to try to squeeze it in. Is what we're.
Can I tell you something that I learned? Working white rooms, or they try to call them mainstream rooms, but predominantly white rooms. Is because I came up in black clubs,
right?
Especially like the first 5 to 6 years I did comedy, I only did black rooms, only. And the first time I worked white room, I was like, oh, you can just say goodnight. Like, you don't have to have the big dismount. You don't have to have the big murdering bit at the end. Because at a black club, you damn near trying to get a standing ovation with that last joke, man. Like, you were trying to blow the roof off the place. And it's
sweating.
Yeah, and then I remember going to the improv. I was like, hey, that's my time, guys. And then and then the crowd would go crazy and go, well, where's this? I guess that was his closer. Like, he could just say goodnight.
Yeah.
And people would still explode. Yeah. Where in black rooms, you just feel like if you don't come off that big...
Yeah,
dismount. They're like,
crescendo.
This motherfucker's all right. This motherfucker's just, motherfucker. That's all you got.
That's why they go grab the stool.
Yeah,
they start doing something.
Yeah, because you wanted that big.
The big.
Good night, everybody. You got that big that crescendo.
Yeah, crescendo.
But just to be able to say good night, was something that was very calming for me and reassuring. It's like, oh, okay, I can get off on time. Like, I don't have to be forced or feel bad getting off stage. And as you learn through time, like, if you put on a good show, they're going to remember the totality of the good show. Because guess what? You could be bombing for the whole time you're on stage and have a strong closer, and people are going to say, he's all right. Yeah. He closed strong, but he was all right. Yeah. It's better just to be consistent the whole set, and people will acknowledge that, like, he just kind of got off stage, but he was murdering for, the 20 minutes he was on, or the 40 minutes he was on, or the 50, whatever. You don't always have to end with the trying to get a standing ovation set.
Right.
Now, if you're the headliner, you can go over time and do whatever you want to do.
And make sure you finish what you want.
But
if
I'm
you
mostly
want to.
talking about the feature spot because this is advice or conversations I've had with comics, just wanting to pick my brain. So if I can make anything clear to the comics that are listening that are still at that feature spot, just understand, if you're not working, yeah, you might be blowing headliners off stage. Absolutely, that's all in play. But really take some time to think about your behavior and your etiquette. Because that could be, if I had to guess, chances are you're not working not because you're blowing people off stage. You're not working because you're not a team player and you're not doing what's right for the good of the show. And that's not really listening to the headliner of what he might want and might not want, or you continuing to do blue material when he asks you to work clean, or for you to step on topics that he asks you not to do, or because you ran the light, or you just talk to the crowd the whole time. Those could be contributing factors to not working. And I'm telling you right now, this ain't a Ruben Paul thing. This ain't just a Johnny Sanchez thing. This is headliners talking to other headliners and telling. You can bring it up. It's like, hey man, how come you don't work with that? Oh shit, let me tell you about this motherfucker. This motherfucker started becoming me on the road.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing we didn't talk about. Motherfucker, you might not be working because you're doing an impression of the headliner and you don't even realize you're doing it. You don't even realize you're doing it.
They don't know.
But anybody watching you going, oh, he's exactly like DL, or he's exactly like Earthquake, or he's exactly like Dane, or he's exactly like Brian Regan. Why would you want a clone opening up for you? Because when you're a young comic, you absorb so much, man. You don't even realize it.
You don't realize it.
You don't realize
it. It just sinks in.
How many times have we worked the road, dude, and it's a local feature, and then you work with them Wednesday, you work with them Thursday, and then come Friday, second show, he sounds like you.
Yeah.
He's doing things that you
all
did.
Of a sudden there's some physical stuff that he's throwing in going, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It looks like the shit I was,
So just be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, could it be that you're blowing people off stage? Absolutely. But I'm telling you guys, from experience, from somebody who used to blow headliners off stage, sometimes you're not working. Most of the time you're not working is because the other little factors that happen during the course of a week and when you're working with a headliner, and they just don't want to put up with it. And the sad part of it is, people in the feature spot, most headliners won't even tell you why. They'll just stop working with you.
And not only that,
they won't even tell you, dude.
No, because there's definitely other people I just said never mind. But you know what else hurts them is, you work with somebody and then whether it could be on the road and they end up coming to LA or they or whatever. Yeah. And you get, we always get those calls. Hey man, can you know somebody who could do, and that person pops into your head because they're looking for a certain style. And then I go, and then all of a sudden you go back to the week working with that person, running the light, not listening, no man, I don't know anybody that fits that. Yeah. Because I'm not going to recommend somebody that was disrespectful and treated me shitty as the headliner and they were just the feature. So they don't even know that. Yeah, they don't even know. So all of you, there's features out there. They're probably headlining now, or maybe they're not. But you may have just taken work away from yourself because you were just too self-absorbed.
And just to be clear, there is a point where you should be headlining.
Yes.
When you shouldn't. This is another addendum.
Oh my God.
We can do a part 2 of this episode. Yeah. But there does come a time.
We didn't even talk about tricks, comedy tricks.
Oh yeah, the comedy tricks where comics beg for standing ovations and act like they're not begging for standing ovations.
That would be one.
Yeah. Did you see that? Anyway,
standing up.
I stood him up. I stood him up. Yeah. Never mind. All right. That's all. But there does come a time. Where you shouldn't be featuring anymore. Where you should be headlining.
You gotta force yourself out of that.
You kind of got to force yourself out of it. And in fairness, there are headliners who don't. I've had headliners tell me this. Hey man, you need to start headlining. Yeah. And I respect that. It's like, I don't need to work that hard. And that's a headliner's right too. A headliner has the right to go, you know what? Rube, I love working with you, but I just want to work out tonight, man. Like your presence is too, like, I don't want to have to work hard tonight. I just want to go. I want to be on cruise control tonight. It's Wednesday night, man. And you're up there. And it's not like you're even trying to, right, but you're just so seasoned.
Yeah.
You're so good that like you said, it puts the headliner in a position where it's like, you know what? Even when you need to be off on your own. It's like, go ahead, young. You know, you've graduated.
Yes,
you've graduated, man. You don't need to be
here. Spread your wings. Get out of the nest,
dude. And that's happened too.
You know, let me tell you.
But for the most part, the advice still stands. Most comics aren't working, not because of that. Because usually when you've outgrown that, a comic will tell you that. Like, hey, man, I think you're dope as hell, man. You need to be headlining, dude. Yeah. I told the club, I referred them, I told you, you need to be doing your own thing. But most of the time when it just goes silent and you're not working anymore, it's because of the other factors, the bullshit that you're doing in that feature spot that makes people not want to work with you. It's not because you're so great. It's not because you're because when you're following all the rules, when you're doing everything right, when you're not stepping on topics, when you're sticking to your time, when you do what's best for the show, sometimes it does come to a point where you do need to move on to headline.
Yeah.
And then that's why now at this part of my career, I only feature for huge names, whether it be a George Lopez or a Russell Peters or somebody who has a huge fan base.
You would feature for Tiffany.
With Tiffany.
If somebody asked you.
If Tiffany asked me. Yeah. Like stars. You can feature for stars at our level, because even though that we're good, they're still there to see that person.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And you're not really going to take away with their shine. But at the end of the day, if any of those guys didn't want me on the show, I would understand.
Right. And if they told you to do 12 minutes, you're doing 12 minutes.
Exactly.
It's funny. I just want to tell this story. One time I was featuring at the Ice House, and the headliner there was very seasoned. And again, one of those things, dude. It was just the crowds were hot.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the second night I got there, he was eating dinner, and I walked by. I wanted to go see what the crowd looked like the next day, and then I heard him, funny man right there. I go, oh hey man, hey, what's up, dude? You're making me work.
Yeah.
So this was Thursday. Then Friday we had 2 shows. Now Saturday, this is when they would do 3, right?
Yeah.
The 8, 10, and midnight at the Ice House. So I'm just having a phenomenal week, dude. And he's still doing really good.
Yes.
But there was just a difference in the energy and the style. It was, whatever. So then the manager comes into the green room on the last show at midnight.
Yeah.
And goes, hey, what so-and-so wants to get out of here. So he'd like to swap with you. And so he'll go on before you, and then you close it out. I went, great. Oh my God. Yeah. I was so excited. You know, when you're excited, but like, I get to close. Yeah. So, but he wanted me to still do my 20, and he was going to do his 45. So then she goes, so he'll do 45. It'll be so-and-so goes up for 10. He's going to do 45. Then you close with 20. And I go, oh, wait. Oh no, that's not what I don't want to do that. I'll just. She goes, I don't understand what you mean. Well, he was around the corner. He could listen. He comes walking in. I get it. You want to do 45, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought we meant. He goes, you know what? That's fine. It gets me out of here even sooner. I don't feel like working, Johnny, on this last show as hard as I've been working this week. Yeah. Let him do 45. I'm doing it. And the girl, I remember the manager's like, can you do 4? I go, yeah, of course I can. Yeah. And that was
a turning point.
A turning point right there, because then I did the 45, and then I started headlining the Ice House after that. Yeah. But I got to give that guy credit. He didn't have to say anything. He could have talked shit to me.
That's class.
He get total class act, man. Yeah. And I'm not going to say his name just because of the circumstances that happened, because I wouldn't want him to, if somebody brought it up like, wait, I don't remember. Because, what if he says I don't remember that? You know what I mean? Yeah. And John, but anyway, that was a class act right there.
It's a class act. And if you're, like, it all goes back to honesty and integrity, if you really think about it. Because as comics, sometimes like, hey, man, tonight was your night, dude. It was just your night.
Dude, I told that
just like in sports or anything. So I don't think because somebody has a better set than me that they're funnier than me. I think all comics, we believe that when we step on the stage, we're the funniest person in the room.
You have to think that way.
I believe that. You know what I mean? And I love working with great comics also, and I can recognize their greatness. But sometimes we've done shows and I go, man, that was your crowd tonight, Johnny. So, you know what I mean? That was
same, vice versa.
It's all you, man.
And I've gone after somebody else that, you know, I'll go up to them later on and go, dude, it was really your night tonight. They were just, you were in the pocket. And
dude, and especially when you're bringing killers to work out on the road with you, I expect it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of the funniest stories in comedy for me that made me laugh is I was headlining the San Francisco Punchline. And Edwin San Juan was looking for some feature work. And I might have told the story on another podcast.
Not on here. You told me.
But so me and Edwin did Sacramento and San Francisco together. We did back-to-back weeks, and it was cool to like help him out and get him some work. And we show up to San Francisco. Now, me, dude, I just do my shit. I don't really focus on what anybody else is doing. Oh, let me say full disclosure. Even though I told you things that headliners hate, I'm not a headliner that gives rules. I might say my one rule is, hey man, don't do it. But you can be dirty. You can do whatever. Like, do you, man? If that's what you do, I'll deal with it. I know you hate dirty comics in front of you.
Yeah, but I don't really care for that.
And it's not. I don't request it. It's not what I want. But if somebody does what they do, I have a little bit more compassion. Like, whatever, dude. You do you. But so I'm not a comic with a lot of rules. Just put that out there. So except the crowd work annoys me.
And running the light.
And running the light. Oh, and running the light.
That's the big one. That's the main one.
That's number one. Run the light is number
dude.
one. Number one.
Yep.
But I'm in San Fran, and the manager, I think it was Jimmy at the time, he goes, hey man, and Edwin was a headliner at this time.
Right.
But he needed the work. So he goes, hey man, you brought an Asian to open up for you in San Francisco? And I go, I didn't think twice about Johnny. I didn't even know what he meant when he said that. And I go, yeah, what's the big deal? It's like, I'm a rocket. So he's like, okay. So me and Edwin had just did Sacramento together. So I seen his set the whole week and he was doing well. Followed him, no problem. He's a funny dude. We get to San Francisco, man, and he's absolutely demolishing the room.
And he has one-liners.
Oh my God.
A bunch of them.
And he's demolishing. And I never really paid attention to how many Asians were in the room or who came out to the shows. Right. And then Jimmy goes, dude, Daly City is like 5-10 minutes from here or whatever. I was like, Daly City? He was like, dude, that's where all the Asians. So, man, he was going up and doing all this stuff. But this is how confident or cocky I was. So he's destroying, and then Jimmy comes and he looks at me and goes, I told you. And I go, I'm about to show you why I'm the headliner. And I went out and I murdered right after him, and Edwin will tell you. But it's one of those things where, again, it makes you raise your level.
Right.
Because when I tell you he was killing. So I had to match it. And guess what? I had a good week with them, but there might have been a night with some of the other comic where you're working with a great comic and they might just have such a phenomenal set that it does overshadow you. But I'm okay with that because it's just one night.
Right.
So I just take my ego out of it and just try to have fun with the process and do it. And that's my advice to features. I know some of you guys feel like you should be able to do whatever you want to do and that's your time and that's your space and no one should dictate that. But when you're on the road and there is a headliner and he is billed as the headliner, there should be some respect given to that title. Just if you were working a job and there was a manager or a supervisor and you're just a cashier, I'm sure, you know, they would want that same respect as getting paid more money than you.
Sure.
So they have that title for a reason. So respect the title. And sometimes we got to respect people's titles, man.
Right.
You know, and they are the headliner. So yeah, it might suck. And some people might tell you things or give you rules or whatever based on insecurity, but that's on them. Yeah. But it's still for you to do your job that's required of you. And it should be, in my opinion, to do what's best for the show. You should be able to shine in the time allotted, given to you. And if the headliner makes a request, that's up to you whether you want to follow it or not. but don't complain when you're not getting to work.
And just remember, you're going to be headlining someday.
And you're going to be headlining
By the way,
someday.
this is my ideal light system at a comedy club. I'm going to show if everybody can see this.
Yeah.
I'm going to show that.
Just say it. Just say
So,
it. Just go over
Yo,
it.
okay, somebody's watching.
And we'll end it on this.
Anyway, so this is how my light system would be. It'd be a traffic light, right? Now you get at the 5-minute mark, wherever you want your mark, the green light comes on. Then
What's the green light for?
like this is how much time you have left, right? I'm giving you the green light. Let you know you're getting close. You got 5 minutes to wrap it.
Yes.
You figure out the time with the comic.
Yeah.
I'm just giving an example.
Okay, the green light is the initial first light you request.
In other words, you're getting close to finishing.
Yes.
Just say they ask for 5-minute light.
Uh-huh.
All right. And then I'd tell them, all right, 3 minutes later, with 2 minutes left in your set, you're getting the yellow light.
Means you have 2 minutes.
2 minutes left.
Yes.
And then you get the red light.
Okay.
That means get the fuck off, motherfucker.
Right now.
And if you go 1 more minute over, see what that is? The motherfucking siren. I have a big red sign that goes like this. And the audience knows this motherfucker just ran the light. And the host is already walking up. Or I'll even have a guy, one of the managers dressed as a cop and grabs the comic and takes him off. Whoop, whoop. Hey, everybody, give it up for the feature act who's not a professional. All right.
That's really cute, man.
Did you like that? Traffic light.
That's really cute. You know what I would do?
A hook.
No. You know what I would do?
No.
I would have a clock on stage to just count it down.
Oh, yeah. We used to talk about that, the clock.
Every club should have one.
Every club.
I just have a clock on stage that when you get on stage, it says whatever your time is. Say if you're doing 25, when you get on stage, it says 25. And when you grab the mic out of the mic stand, then the clock goes down.
Yeah, but the going backwards is confusing sometimes.
No.
I would rather have it going forward. In other words, when I get up, it's 0 and it starts going 1 minute, 2 minutes. To me, that was, I've done those ones at the casinos that go backwards.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're halfway in and you're like, oh, you don't want to look at it, but you're like, oh, wait, am I here? Or
now we're getting back to Johnny's schooling and education.
Oh my.
It all goes back to that, man.
See, like that. I would rather have the clock that's telling me you're almost to 20.
Nah, man. I like to.
The backwards gets me a little thrown off. I'm left-handed. I don't know if that's what it is.
How about sports? Do you watch sports? Sports count down. The time goes down. Quarters start at the allotted time and they go down. It's the
so
natural
just
thing.
think of it as a sporting thing.
Yeah.
Now that could help me out.
Could you imagine? You would totally eliminate the drama of 1 second left on the clock. There'd be like 14:59 left on the clock.
No, they would still be able to go. There's 10 seconds left. We're at 14:50.
It wouldn't be the same. It goes seeing
backwards. Now see, nobody explained it to me like that.
That's why I'm your boy, motherfucker.
Damn.
I'm your boy.
Okay.
But that's what I do. I think clubs should have clocks.
Well, they should all have a clock, even if it's
that count down. Because that's one thing that's great about working with George.
Yeah, it's
there's no excuse.
Gabriel does that too. Gabe
does that.
Gabe Iglesias, Fluffy. He does the same thing. And he used to. I don't know if he does this anymore. I don't want to say this, but they would have their 10-minute set, and then every minute over they get docked some pay.
Oh, that'd be dope. See, and there's a reason for it. And he's a generous guy who's giving people a lot of work.
Generous dude.
So, again,
stick to your time is what Gabriel's saying.
Just stick to your time, guys, and just kind of be introspective. Like, it's not always about you're such a beast or you're such a murderer. Are you doing things that are taken away from the headliner? And those are things that keep you from working, whether that be running the light, whether it be stepping on material, whether you not being the right style for the headliner, meaning the type of material you do, whatever. It's all to the headliner's discretion. And like Johnny said, you're going to be a headliner one day. So just respect the process. And when you are in that headliner spot, you can do whatever you want to do. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes.
I'm Ruben Paul.
Johnny Sanchez.
And that's the best of everything. Ruby Tuesdays, every Tuesday night, Hollywood Laugh Factory, 9:30. Come see us, some of the best comics in the country.
We're on iTunes, Google Play,
and YouTube. You can find us iTunes, Google Play, and on YouTube. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you. Share, tell a friend, subscribe, leave comments. Thank you.
Ruby motherfucking Tuesdays. This show is all about diversity and bringing everyone together. You never know who you're going to see at Ruby Tuesdays.